These are 16 characters with the highest bounties in the entirety of One Piece, and we're gonna list them from 3 billion bellies all the way up to over 6 billion, starting with Eustace Kid. Kid was originally introduced during the 𝐿𝐵𝐷𝐼 arc with a bounty of 315 million bellies. Although this bounty was the highest among supernovas, it doesn't necessarily mean he was the strongest. Kid mostly earned his bounty by harming many civilians, and not necessarily for his strength. Sometime after the Summit War, his bounty was raised from 315 million to 470 million bellies for his achievements in the New World. Kid ate the magnet fruit, a devil fruit that allows him to attract and control metal objects with magnetism. This fruit proved to be a great fit for him, as he was able to use the metal to form a prosthetic arm when he lost his real one in the battle against the Red Hair Pirates. Kid's goal was to track down and defeat emperors in order to take their place. He eventually played a crucial part in defeating the Emperor Big Mom, which earned him a monstrous bounty of 3 billion bellies. However, he couldn't take her place as the vacant emperor places were taken by Luffy and Buggy. Kid was only 1 out of 16 characters on this list, and let's continue with his rival from the worst generation, 𝐿𝐵𝐷𝐼 Law. Law is a pirate from North Blue, and the captain of the Heart Pirates. He possesses the power of the 𝐿𝐵𝐷𝐼 no Mi, allowing him to create a spherical territory where he can reform and control matter. Contrary to Kid we previously mentioned, Law doesn't seek to cause destruction and achieve emperor status. He instead wants to find One Piece and also learn the meaning and purpose of the Will of D. Same as Kid, Law was also introduced during the 𝐿𝐵𝐷𝐼 arc, with a bounty of 200 million bellies. After that, during the time skip, his bounty was eventually raised to 440 million, and then frozen due to him aligning with the government and joining the 7 warlords. However, after helping Straw Hat Pirates during the Dressrosa arc, his title was revoked and his bounty was reinstated and even raised a little bit to 500 million bellies. Eventually, his bounty would be raised to 3 billion bellies for his role in taking down Big Mom during the Wano Country arc. Number 14. Monkey D. Luffy. Luffy desires to find the legendary treasure left behind by Gold D. Roger and become the Pirate King, which he believes is the person with the most freedom in the world. Luffy also desires that you press that subscribe button down below, and since he is the main character that always gets what he wants, you kinda have to do it. Thanks! Luffy is the character that just keeps getting stronger and stronger as time goes on, and this fact is reflected in his bounty. He gained his first bounty of 30 million bellies for defeating the strongest pirate captains of the East Blue, which then increased to 100 million after defeating Crocodile and Alabasta. After his crew invaded Enies Lobby, his bounty further increased to 300 million. His sizable bounty caused Luffy to be included among the 11 supernovas, and even among them, he had the second highest bounty. 2 years after the war, with a bounty of 400 million bellies, he entered the New World and began challenging the emperors directly, with his bounty eventually increasing to 3 billion bellies after defeating Doflamingo, Sweet Commanders, and the strongest creature in the world, Kaido. Although Luffy has achieved some impossible feats, the same can't be said for the next character who got his bounty completely by accident. Lucky the Clown is a very vain and egotistical character who seeks to be glorified and feared by others. Due to his past and some misunderstandings, the world government saw him as an incredibly strong pirate, although he's not, and invited him to join the 7 warlords. At that point, Buggy had a low bounty of only 15 million bellies, but after the abolition of the warlord system and his alliance with Mihawk and Crocodile, his bounty was reinstated and raised to 3,189 million bellies. Number 12. 𝐿𝐵𝐷𝐼. 𝐿𝐵𝐷𝐼 is a world-famous pirate who holds the title Strongest Swordsman in the World. He was strong enough to rival Shanks as they competed fiercely in legendary duels until Shanks lost his left arm. Mihawk's swordsmanship is extremely versatile. He can create immensely powerful compressed air slashes that can destroy enormous icebergs using the strong blade swordsmanship, and deflect the course of bullets with masterful precision using the gentle blade. He can also cut through steel with extreme ease and precision, as demonstrated with the steel-bodied Mr. 1. In the latest chapters of the manga, we finally got to see Mihawk's new bounty, and as we all expected, it was enormous! By forming an alliance with Crocodile and Buggy, he earned himself a bounty of 3,590 million bellies. It's crazy to think that there are still 11 characters with higher bounties than Mihawk. Number 11. 𝐂𝐮𝐼. So what's 𝐂𝐮𝐼's bounty? Well, although that fact wasn't revealed yet in the story, since he was an admiral, his bounty must be really high. We also can't forget that since 𝐂𝐮𝐼 worked for the government, he probably knows many of their secrets which they would kill to protect. If that's not enough to persuade you that he deserves this spot on the list, just remember that he also joined one of the pirate crews the world government fears the most, and even the 5 elders called him an enormous power. The greatest testament to Aokiji's strength is his duel against Akainu, in which he matched the future fleet admiral for 10 days until he suffered his defeat, bespeaking a tremendous deal of raw power and endurance. Based on all this, I'd say that Kuson's bounty will be around 3.6 billion bellies. Number 10. Rayleigh. Even in his old age, he was still powerful enough to contend with Kizaru and prevent him from attacking Luffy and the crew. However, during the fight, he quickly got tired, implying that he's nowhere near the level of endurance and stamina he had in his younger days. This implies that when he was in his prime, he was most likely stronger than any current admiral and possibly an emperor-level fighter. During their fight, Rayleigh told Kizaru, "If you people would withdraw my bounty, I'd be able to retire in peace." This means that even after 22 years, his bounty is still active. As Roger is the only one in his crew to have his bounty revealed, we'll have to speculate a bit to guess what Rayleigh's bounty most likely is. In his prime, it's quite possible that Rayleigh was the strongest swordsman in the world, since, besides Odin, no one else could stand their ground against Rayleigh in a sword fight. He also reached Laugh-Tale, and it was revealed during 𝐿𝐵𝐷𝐷 arc that he knows all the world's secrets and the events of the Void Century. In my opinion, his bounty must be higher than 𝐿𝐷𝐴𝐻's, and I would guess it's probably around 3.7 billion bellies. Number 9. Odin. Even though he was a pirate for a very short time, Odin was considered one of the strongest pirates in the world. His strength left a great impression on everyone around him, especially Kaido, who, even 20 years after Odin's death, regards him as one of the few people in the whole world capable of fighting him. Due to his adventures with the Whitebeard and Roger pirates, he was stated to have grown much stronger than before, returning to Wano invincible. Although Odin's bounty was never revealed, he was undoubtedly one of the biggest threats to the world government. Just think about it. Odin was a part of 2 notorious crews, the Whitebeard and Roger pirates. He was also able to read and write in poneglyph language, and on top of all that, he also reached Laugh-Tale and learned everything there is to know about the world and government secrets. The world government surely tried to catch Odin with everything they had, and therefore I'd guess that they gave him the bounty of at least 3.8 billion bellies. Number 8. Shiki. Although Shiki isn't a character many people consider when talking about bounties, it's important to mention that he was one of the most powerful pirates of his generation, right alongside legends like Roger and Whitebeard. One of Shiki's biggest achievements is battling against Garp and Sengoku in the prime of their power. Their battle destroyed half of the city until he eventually lost. However, even after that, he did the impossible and managed to escape the impenetrable prison Impel Down, which no one had managed to do before. Despite the government's big desire to catch him again, Shiki remained hidden for over 20 years, with seemingly no information on what he's doing or where he is. Even though we have very little information to go by at this moment, the fact that Shiki rivaled the likes of Roger is enough to put him among the emperors on this list. I'll guess that his bounty was most likely around 4 billion bellies. Although we have no clue what Shiki's intentions are, there is one character who's even more mysterious than him, and that's red-hair Shanks. Shanks earned himself the title of emperor and is considered a great threat by the world government. He's one of the few people in the world who can use all 3 types of Haki, with Conqueror's Haki being his most powerful variation. This was seen during the Wano arc when he released a massive burst of Haki from his ship miles outside of Wano and managed to stop Admiral Green Bull without even entering the country. Due to this feat, we can assume that Shanks most likely has the absolute strongest Haki in the entire series, as no other character could come even close to subduing the Admiral in this fashion. Shanks' current bounty was revealed to be 4,048,900,000 bellies. Although this is an impressive bounty, due to Shanks being a pacifist and not really battling anyone most of the time, I feel like this bounty is much more lower than it could have been. It'd be really great to see what his bounty would be if he ever started wreaking chaos like Kaido or Blackbeard. I'm sure it would skyrocket. Number 6. Big Mom. Charlotte Linlin was one of the 4 emperors and rulers of Totoland. She was first issued a bounty of 50 million bellies at the age of 6, which makes her the youngest known individual to ever have a bounty placed on their head, even younger than Robin, who received her bounty at the age of 8. She was also the youngest person ever to become a captain of a pirate crew, having led the Big Mom pirates since she was 6 years old. Linlin quickly became notorious for conquering islands and killing their citizens, which immediately boosted her bounty 10 times to 500 million bellies. Bounties. Sometime after that, she joined Rock's Pirates, the most feared pirate crew in history, with members like Kaido, Whitebeard, and Shiki. Due to her actions over the following years, she eventually earned herself a bounty of 4,388,000,000 and became one of the most feared people on the seas. Although she was an emperor, I still feel this bounty was a bit high and probably issued due to her influence and actions rather than raw fighting prowess. Number 5. Dragon. Although his exact abilities have not been revealed yet, Dragon is certainly a very powerful fighter. He's been seen several times seemingly controlling wind, which many fans speculate is his devil fruit power. Combined with a strong haki, this type of power would make Dragon one of the strongest characters in the series. Now I know many of the fans are disappointed that I didn't put Dragon in the first place, but it just doesn't make sense to me. Don't get me wrong, I believe Dragon has an immense bounty, but considering the bounties of other Revolutionary Army members, I really don't think his bounty will be higher than Roger. For now, his bounty should be around 4.4 billion bellies. Number 4. Kaido. As the Beast Pirates governor, Kaido has authority over a massive 20,000 strong pirate organization, and due to his alliance with Shogun Orochi, he enjoys authority over thousands of Wano country's samurai forces. Kaido grew up in the Vodka Kingdom and was a part of its army which invaded and looted nearby cities. By the age of 10, Kaido was already the kingdom's strongest soldier. A few years later, he was sold to the Marines, but he easily managed to escape the warship, which ultimately earned him his first bounty of 7 million bellies. After that, he allowed himself to be captured numerous times to eat the food on the battleships, escaping with ease once he'd had his fill. The most remarkable thing about Kaido is his body, which is pretty much non-destructible, not even with regular armament haki. This was showcased multiple times when Luffy attacked Kaido with seemingly no effect, and when he jumped from Sky Island and fell 10,000 meters without any injuries whatsoever. Through his actions, Kaido earned himself a bounty of 4,600,100,000 bellies, which makes him the person with the highest known bounty post time skip. Although Kaido's bounty is impressive, we've still got 3 characters left to cover with even higher bounties than him, starting with his former crewmate, Whitebeard. In his prime, Whitebeard was a rival to Roger, and following Roger's death was widely recognized as the strongest man in the world, with the highest active bounty. At some point in his life, Whitebeard ate the 𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵 no Mi, the devil fruit considered the strongest in the Paramecia class, and, according to some, had the power to destroy the world. Although it's unknown how much the first bounty Whitebeard ever got was, it was probably pretty big considering he was a member of Rock's Pirates in his youth. During his life, he was the only pirate able to match Roger in one-on-one battle, with the two fighting many times with no clear winner. Even though he got old and extremely sick, Whitebeard was still a #1 threat to the world government and the pirate they feared the most. During the Summit War of Marineford, Whitebeard showcased his might multiple times by beating Akainu and contending evenly with other admirals, despite suffering a deadly wound just minutes earlier. Whitebeard's influence and might earned him an exceptional bounty of 5,046,000,000 bellies, which is higher than all current and former known emperors. Before we cover the character with the highest bounty on the list, let's first quickly cover 𝐵𝐷𝐴. 𝐵𝐷𝐴 was the first and only person currently in the show to reach the final island in the New World and become king of pirates. He and his crew are sad to have conquered the Grand Line and were considered nearly unstoppable. Roger is one of the first characters introduced in the show and the first known owner of the legendary Straw Hat, which was later passed down to Shanks and Luffy. He was one of the few people that could use all 3 forms of haki and also had the power called Voice of All Things, which allowed him to hear objects and animals that don't speak human language. As the Pirate King and the person who knew all of the world's secrets, Roger was eventually granted a bounty of 5,564,800,000 bellies, the highest known bounty in the history of piracy. Now, before I reveal who the character with the highest bounty is, I just want to give an honorable mention to Joy Boy. Due to the lack of information about him and the Void Sentry, it's unclear if he had a bounty at all. But if he did, he'd definitely be on the top of our list above all other characters. Number 1. Roxy Xebec. Roxy Xebec was the Pirate King's greatest enemy and one of the most fearsome pirates in history. He was so fearsome, in fact, that after his defeat, the world government completely erased his name from history, with the majority of the world not even knowing that he ever existed. The extent of Xebec's powers is unknown, and whether he possessed devil fruit powers or solely relied on haki remains to be seen. Now, many of you are probably wondering why I put Rox higher on the list than Roger. Well, the fact that the government agreed to work with Roger in order to exterminate Rox, in my opinion, gives us us all the information we need to determine who they considered the bigger threat at that time. Also, despite knowing all the secrets, Roger seemingly never spoke publicly about them, nor did he try to destroy the world government. While on the other hand, Rox wanted to become king of the world and uncover all the secrets the government was hiding. This is purely speculation, but I believe Rock's bounty was most likely around 6 billion bellies. Did you ever wonder if all Straw Hats together could defeat Luffy? Click on this video to find out. The answer may surprise you.